You know what else there's nothing wrong with? Changing your name.
I've never done that, but sure.
I'm sorry, are you not Dashing D? Is that your birth name?
Oh, that's true. I guess I have a stage name.
Exactly.
Yeah, you're right. I was thinking more along the lines of like going to the courthouse and changing your name officially.
Oh, no, but I mean creating your stage name and not being known as what's on your birth certificate.
Exactly. Exactly the right
There's
way to say
nothing wrong with that. But
it. Hmm.
people seem to have a problem with the eldest of the Obama children doing it. Tell them what I'm talking about.
Malia Obama, as you may or may not know, is very much immersed in um, the TV and filmmaking world at this point. She writes, and she's written for Donald Glover. She's worked on. It seems like she's also working on her own personal projects. So she directed recently. Was it Sundance that it
Yeah, it's a short film.
that she directed a short film called The Heart.
There you go. Look at that. I didn't
Um,
even need the specs. Good job, co-host.
she directed a film called The Heart, a short called The Heart. And you know, at Sundance, when her name popped up, rather than people seeing Malia Obama, people saw Malia Ann. And that is the
Correct.
name that she has chosen to use. That will be her directorial name. That will be her Hollywood name. That's that's the name that she wants to be called. And apparently, yeah, there are people who feel like um, there's a lot of people who feel a lot of different things. I read that people feel like, she doesn't deserve to be where she is today
Right.
because they feel that nepotism got her there.
Right.
Um, there are people who feel like, well, what is she trying to do by changing her name? Um, the article I read by The Observer basically said it's not that she doesn't want to be associated with her name or her parents or anything like that, but she is trying to distance herself professionally because they have their things going on and they're involved in television and film as well at
Right.
this point. But they have their things going on and she's trying to set herself apart and
Right.
do her own thing,
Yep.
which for what is she, a 21-year-old or whatever it is?
Right.
Who doesn't want to separate themselves from their parents and try to make a stake in their independence at that stage of their life? So
Right.
I don't think there's anything wrong with it. In fact, I think that if this was someone else we were talking about, they would totally want to use mommy and daddy's name. And can I just say one thing about nepotism before we?
Oh, yes, please do. Because I'm going to say something about it as well.
I don't think there's anything wrong with nepotism. I think that rich white kids, since the beginning of time, this
Yeah.
is
Come
not
on now.
this is not to be disrespectful. This is just calling it what it is.
Come on now.
Rich white kids, since the beginning of time, have been profiting off of their parents' wealth, off of their parents' fame, off of their parents' notoriety, whether it's
Yes.
somebody that you just simply don't know, but they're rich as fuck.
Right.
They have been doing it since the beginning of time.
Yes.
Whether it's becoming the vice president at daddy's company,
Amen.
whether it's becoming an actor in a film because your parent is in the film industry, or they're
Preach.
a major actor or whatever. It could be anything.
Anything.
Nepotism exists
Everywhere. All at
everywhere.
once.
Right. Exactly. I think people get frustrated when they see that a black child or a child of color somehow benefited off of nepotism because it is not common.
Talk to him.
And so we watch these children grow up, kids like Northwest,
Oof. Yep.
Malia Obama, still waiting to see what Sasha's going to do. Right now, I think Sasha's still in college and she's having a good time. Good for her.
Right.
But I could name a bunch of kids. There's a whole show. I don't think it's on anymore. Growing Up Hip Hop.
Yep.
Where all the kids were trying to get put on by their parents
Yep.
shamelessly. There's nothing wrong with that. Listen, what we like to talk about. We like to talk about when we talk about black people. We love to talk about generational wealth and how
That's a
we
hot
want to
topic.
build generational wealth for
Yep.
our kids. Why are we building generational wealth if they can't profit off of the things? Like, how do those things not exist at the same time? If I start a company, if Hardly Minding My Business Inc. exists and I have kids, yes, they will work there if that's what they want to do.
Right.
Yes, I will put them on payroll.
Right.
And yes, someday they will own the company.
Yeah.
If being Malia Obama means that she got to go to the front of the line in director school or whatever it is, if it means that, mom and dad know Childish Gambino and they introduced me and now I'm writing for him because he was okay with it,
Right.
y'all want me to be mad because she got an opportunity that if she didn't get, maybe some white kid would have gotten, that probably would have gotten the opportunity anyway somewhere else.
Talk to him.
I'm sorry, but
Don't be sorry.
you're not gonna you're never gonna convince me. You're never gonna convince me that children of color should not be able to benefit off of the things that their parents do and the things that their parents create. I'm sorry, but no. That's my 2 cents. Change your name, girl, if you want to change your name. But you waited until you got to a place where you could change your name, and that's dope too.
Yep. I don't think there's anything wrong with changing your name or altering your name because it's not really a change,
Yeah,
but it's an alteration, sure, whatever.
probably her middle
Um,
name.
right. um, Lots of us do it. I've done it. If y'all know why I'm JD, then you know that I've done it as well. Um, and so, yeah, we do these things to separate ourselves, to stand out, to give ourselves our own sense of identity, and that's fine. On the flip side of that coin, yes, I'm going to use whatever relationships are available to help me in my journey in this industry, in any industry. If I find out, oh man, I got a cousin who they work as a vice president at a podcasting agency, oh, best believe we calling cousin right now. What up, cuz? Yeah. Many industries are built on relationships, and there's an entire saying that says your network is your net worth. That's a saying. They're telling you that the people that you have access to are really what makes you excel in industries, in life. And so, yeah, it's going to happen, whether we like it or not. I'm going to take a different angle. I love everything you said. I was trying my best to cheerleader you on. But let's just say, forget, even if you said none of that, these things are going to happen. There's nothing we can do about it. There's no legal precedent that I know of that says this is illegal. And so it's going to happen. It happens all the time in many different formats, as my co-host just killed it and said. But what you going to do? What you gonna hate on every person who does it? Nah. And so what? She's the Obamas. Yeah. The Obama family has a fuck ton of connections. They're going to use them. And they should. You should too. If you have connections at your fingertips, then you should use them.
Like literally connections in any industry possible because my dad was president.
Right. Well, and she also went to Columbia University, if I remember correctly. And
Oh,
so those
of
relationships
course.
are tied to what she's doing now. But it
And
doesn't matter. It don't matter if she never went to college at all and woke up and was like, yo, I wrote some dope shit. Who can we give this to? Can you make some phone calls, mom and dad? And we're also assuming we don't know for certain that she got any of these gigs because of mom and dad. Perhaps she did not. Perhaps she met Donald Glover somewhere random and was like, yo, big fan. I wrote some shit. Let's talk. Maybe they smoked some weed and had a good time and was like, we going to connect. Save my number. And she emailed them and was like, here's the script I've been working on. What you think? We don't know. We're
we
assuming.
don't know.
And I say, so what? So what if she got it through nepotism? And so what if she didn't? What should matter is the quality of the product.
Right. And that's what I was gonna say. I was gonna say, I don't want to take away. I know you mentioned she went to Columbia and all of that. I don't want to take away from her talent. If she has talent, then that's great too.
Right.
But sometimes your talent is not the thing that gets you in the door.
Well, I agree with that. And I'm just saying that's what we should judge. Like if she makes bomb ass movies, if she makes bomb ass shorts, if she writes bomb ass scripts, then that's what matters. Who cares about the name change or the mom and dad? Like when you go see Christopher Nolan, you don't ask yourself, man, how did Christopher Nolan get this deal to do Oppenheimer? You just worry about, is Oppenheimer a good movie? When you go see Tenet and feel like Tenet is weird, I don't think I like this one. Well, that's all you judge, not, hey, what made them give him the opportunity to do this film? You don't even think about that.
And there are times where the people who do have some sort of connection, they have to work harder, whether they're being told they have to work harder or just knowing that this is something that people will know and people will understand. Because I also think that when it comes to nepotism, I think the biggest issue that people have, I mean, other than it existing, is that um, when a connection isn't disclosed. Most places you have to disclose if you have a family member. Like if you apply for a job, you have to disclose that you have a family member who works there or whatever the case may be. But I lost my train of thought.
It's okay.
I had like five different thoughts in my head,
It happens.
and
It's
I was
called
trying to
podcasting.
like connect all of the thoughts together, and
Try to create a
I,
multiverse.
yeah, and I failed.
It
Just
happens.
I will leave that to I will leave that to the team at
Marvel and
Marvel.
50.
Right. But yeah, I think that you you have to, what I was talking about is working hard and having the talent and having the wherewithal to do these things, even though you know that people may say, "Oh, you got this because your dad was president," and you probably don't even have. I'm sure she's met with enough people who are like, "Does this kid really have the chops?"
Right.
I'm sure she gets that more than enough. So I don't think it's going to be a situation where you're in the, I think it gets you in the door, but I don't think it keeps you around. I think it's very easy to push somebody out once you realize that they can't back up the thing that they said they could do. And
I can argue both
perhaps,
sides of that, but I understand what you're saying.
yeah, I mean,
I mean,
I see
you want to upset the Obamas?
I don't think everyone cares about that. That's my point. I don't think that everyone cares that they're going to upset the Obamas or not. I think that there are people who love them, but I also think that there are people who don't.
Gotcha.
So, and we don't know the spaces that she's walking into. We don't know that every space that she walks into is a safe space. Um,
Gotcha.
so I don't know. It made me think of it when, as I'm saying this, who I was thinking of was John David Washington.
Hmm.
He uses his dad's last name, but he also, and I mean, he can't really hide that he's Denzel's son. He sounds like Denzel. He favors Denzel in the face. Like there's you if you met him, I've never met him, but I feel like if you meet him and you didn't know who he was, you would be like, you remind me of somebody. You know, he's that kind of guy. But I've read about his story a little bit, and he talks about how he's so afraid of people thinking that he's doing this because of his dad, when he's like, I just like doing this and I enjoy doing this and I think I'm actually good at it, so I'm like trying to work extra hard to not denounce my dad or not leave the name on the floor or whatever it is, but I still have so much to prove, because I don't want to be known. I want to be known as John David Washington. I don't want to be known as Denzel Washington's son.
Right.
So I think that it's a complicated space to be in. I think it's a very privileged space to be in, and
Yes.
that's great. We don't all have that, but
Right.
I think it can be complicated too. So I don't know. Just my 2 cents or 3 cents or whatever it was. I
Ten
give him my
cents.
cents. Yeah, yeah. I dropped a dime on him.
You did. You did. And not in the snitch sense.
No,